It is 9:02, so we're going to get started. We do have two speakers today, so we do have a full agenda. First off, thank you for everyone for coming. Big round of applause for being here this morning. Thank y'all. To start off with, I'm your MC today. You're stuck with me. I'm Jacob Hacker. I am the founder of Trail Fit Fitness. It's an OCR wellness experience. I teach obstacle course racing, Ninja Warrior, parkour. I'm also an actor in the community. Been on professional stages, commercials and independent films. So if you ever are looking for an actor, I'm your guy. 1 Million Cups, it's a foundation supported or invented to support entrepreneurs of all kinds. Also like small business owners is primarily what it's for. I do want to thank the coffee roaster, Sleepy Turtle Company, and that is Kirsty Logan. She's got 30 seconds.
Hey guys, my name is Kirsty. Hi Frank. I am owner of the Sleepy Turtle Coffee Co., a mobile coffee shop here in Colorado Springs. I do wholesale private labeling, special gift ideas, and all of your caffeinated and non-caffeinated beverages. So if you need any catering for this holiday season, just let me know after. Thanks.
All right, and then next up we have our coffee sponsor. That's Colorado Enterprise Fund. Is anybody from there this morning? You were last month. Thrive is now it. That's what I told Kevin. I'm going to read what's on the page. No, it's not his fault. No, he didn't put it there. All right, so Thrive. Yes, here we go.
Hey guys, Thrive Networks is a small business or entrepreneurial incubator that really focuses on the southeast side of town. We just had our selection committee and we're having our January cohort. I think it's the 13th cohort, so we've been around for 6 or 7 years. I'm a graduate and the vice chair. So if you have any questions about that, or if you have anybody that lives in Southeast or has justice involved, that's who we focus around. So if you have anybody who's looking to start a business in either of those realms or both, come see me and they can apply for our next cohort.
All right, another test. It says coffee cup sponsor is the SBDC and the BBB. Is that correct? All right, and I saw Matt just walk in. Matt, you want to say something real quick?
Sorry, my brain's taking a while to warm up with how cold it is outside. But good to see everyone here today. I'm with the Better Business Bureau here in Southern Colorado. We are here to assist the business community here in town and in the region, however you guys need. So if you have questions about accreditation, what you're getting out of it, what it means to be accredited, anything like that, just come talk to me and I'll be more than happy to let you know. Thank you.
All right, we will have community announcements in between our presenters. That being said, be sure to silence all your cell phones, electronic devices, whatever you brought with you. Please check in on the 1 Million Cups app as well, too. And then now with our first presenter, we have Lang Netzler with C.H.A. Family Wellness. So that's all you.
Good morning. Do I need this?
Yes. You can take it out, though.
I can take it out. Oh, okay. Good morning again. My name is Lang with C.H.A. Family Wellness. I get the privilege of telling you guys a little bit about myself today, about my journey and how I started my business. And so let's see if my laptop will cooperate with me today. So I went to UCCS and graduated with biotechnology and biochemistry. I was on the track to go to medical school. However, that didn't happen. My phone rang, my parents called, the family business needed help. They own a Chinese restaurant in town. They own 2 of them, and they were in dire need, so I dropped everything because my parents needed help, so I went and helped them. A few years later, it did very well, but my parents got very tired, so they sold it. And then after a few years afterwards, it's like I didn't feel like I was competitive in the medical industry anymore. I didn't feel like I could even compete in the application process, so I didn't even continue that journey. So I did what I did best. I applied for a restaurant job. I went to work for Panda Express for 6 years. I was on the track to be the area manager. But at that time, my life event changed. I got married. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have kids. I didn't want to work Fridays and Saturdays anymore, because to be on track to be the big manager, you have to get the numbers and put in the hours and all that. And so my priorities changed, so I changed job. And then I was blessed with a job at civilian contractor with the Air Force Academy. But then at that time, because the reason why my parents sold the restaurant, because they were getting health issues. They were having back issues. My mom had back surgery. And that's my little family right there. That made me quit my Panda Express job. And here's my family, my parents, that made me reevaluate what I was doing, because I needed time to take care of them. And I took them to doctor's appointment. And a couple of years later, I'm still taking them to the same doctor's appointment. And my mom had back surgery, and she still had back pain. My dad became disabled because his leg edema did not allow him to stand up and cook at restaurants anymore. And so thinking about that, I'm thinking about the medical industry. It's like I wanted to be a doctor. So I'm a believer. So then I prayed. It's like, what's going on with this picture? I needed to find a way to help my parents. And then a thought came to my mind. Well, you can still do something. So I prayed. It's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but use me to help my own parents, because I am tired of taking them to doctor's appointment. And then at a networking group, I met the director of touch therapy school. And so it's like, okay, maybe this is the answer. I'm not quite sure. So without knowing what the heck I'm getting into, I dive into school. So I went to, I'm still working at the Air Force Academy full time, going to school at night. And then when I graduated, I'm still working full time and seeing clients at night. So that went on for like 4 to 5 years. And of course, my little family is still growing. I still have a family. It's like, okay, this is not working. I'm exhausted. I need to do something different. So again, back to prayer time. And so I prayed. I was like, I need something. And so another thought came in. It's like, well, the reason why you can't launch your business is because you need more clients to take over the day job. So I prayed for a referral system, and that happened. So I got a referral system that gave me the confidence to quit my day job and launch my private practice full-time May of this year. Thank you. And so my business is acupressure therapy and somatic trauma therapy. And acupressure is acupuncture with no needles. And so I can help with all types of physical pain from head to toe. And trauma therapy is all about the emotional pain with an emotional root cause that manifests as physical pain. And so I can help with all this type. I can help with PTSD, with anger, with anxiety, with situations like rape and abuse and bully. So trauma therapy can help with all that. So in a nutshell, I'm a fusion of Chinese medicine, physical therapy, and a mental health counselor all in one. And with all my modalities, my session will look like I would collect all the data from you, figure out what the root cause is, and use and mix and match all the modalities that I know to help the clients. So, and I offer in-person and telehealth session. And I believe my time is up.
All right, now we have 20 minutes of Q&A. Who's got the first question? All right.
What would a typical indoc session for someone who's interested in learning about your services and if they were a fit for you, what would that look like?
I do offer free consultation before you dive into a package plan or any type of plan. I offer regular sessions and package sessions. So the first session is, well, what are you looking for? Why are you getting in touch in the first place? And then, for example, someone will come over to me for for an abandonment issue. So, for example, someone in the military who went overseas and found out that they feel lonely, that they feel abandoned, and they could not shake it off once they came back home. And so I would tell them what it is. It's like, okay, I would collect all the data about all your entire family history to see where the root cause might start it, because that going to overseas, that event didn't start it doesn't explode something that has not existed yet. So explode things that has always been in existence but have been dormant or been hiding in the background. So something was created, took root in the childhood, and then that event, that life event, whether it's the going overseas or a car accident or some life event, explode the root that has been taking root all this time. So then I will tell them, I will collect all the data, and more than likely with this one, the example that I just used, it's heavily on trauma therapy versus acupressure therapy, and then we'll take on forward to see if they would like to set up an appointment.
Two go up. I'm going to go right here. I'll be back.
Is it like a package? Do they have to do so many sessions? Is there a minimum and maximum? And how do you determine that?
It depends on what they came in for. So if the physical element that they came in with is acute, it does not have an emotional root, then 1 or 2 sessions take it away. I have people coming in with 1 session, and they're able, because they're so open, they have been searching for so long, they've been going to this therapy, that therapy, this therapy, and so all the legwork, so to speak, has already been done, and they just have this missing component, the emotional component, and all I have to do is dive into that emotion. And they're willing for the first appointment to dive in deep, I go for it, and then they feel better from the first appointment. However, if they don't have a history of knowing what it is, if knowing, being in touch with the body, being in touch with their feelings, it might take 8 sessions or 12 sessions. I have people coming in for a nub. So after, I have one client, after chemotherapy, 6 months later, they found something else. But in her gut intuition, she goes, there's something missing. There's a root missing. So she came to me. I said, okay, usually cancer has a huge emotional root. And so she was willing to dive in. So 3 sessions later, she didn't feel that anymore. So she continued on for 8 sessions because there was other things that was layers that caused that in the first place.
Thank you for sharing. You know, you do such a good job of unwrapping the work that you're doing. Getting here from there, medical school, wanting to be a doctor, but your parents seem to be the emphasis for your starting this business or you're diving into what you're doing. And you told us about the physical side, but what propels you to dive deeper into the emotional side and try and want to find those things out about people and help them in that?
You want the truth?
Yes.
Not by default. So when I signed up for the program, it was acupressure therapy because it's acupuncture, because it's Asian techniques. Like, all right, I want to dive in. The director at the time goes, there's a dual certification program, trauma therapy. I'm like, I don't think I'm interested in that. I don't know much about feelings because growing up, I suppress my feelings. I don't know how to feel. I don't wear my emotions on my sleeve. And so I don't know if I can be a good therapist in trauma therapy. And so she hit my Asian side that wants to save money. She goes, there's a discount right now that if you take double certification. And I'm like, well, since it's a double certification, she goes, right now it's a budding. If you're in school, it's a budding field of being all these practitioners being trauma informed. If you're trauma informed right now, and plus you have the certification of trauma therapy, you can help so much more versus only 1 certification in acupressure therapy. She goes, there's a huge discount program. You should sign up, and even if you don't know how, you might never know you'll use it in the future. So I go, fine, if I get to save money, sure, I'll take 2. I don't know what to do with the second one. So for the first 2 years, I've never advertised myself as a trauma therapist, only as an acupressure therapist. But clients after clients will ask me, hey, I am suffering from depression. Can you help me with that as well? It's like, yes, I got the training. Can you help so-and-so with this? Can you help my child with anger management? Okay, yeah. So I keep having clients for trauma therapy without me even advertising myself. So it's not until this year, the 4.5 year into my practice, that I advertise myself as a trauma therapist, because every time I help someone, they go, that worked. I feel better. It's like, oh, how come I didn't use this before? So because of the results of my own client is the reason why I start advertising myself as a trauma therapist. And I started working, and I got my first military veteran client the beginning of this year, actually December of last year. But to see that it actually worked in someone, and it's like not just on book and paper, it's like, oh yeah, it says this, but actually using it on a client, and they say, oh, I actually feel better. I feel happy. They walked out of my clinic feeling happy versus feeling lonely. It's like, all right, I'm going to gear towards this way now. So pivot. So I pivot during this year.
Thank you. You said that you prayed for a client acquisition system. What did that look like, and how did you come across that?
By divine intervention. The only word I can describe, because I prayed for a referral system or for something that would give me more clients, because right now, because working during the day and seeing a client at night, I didn't have time to market myself. I did not have time to network. I didn't start networking until this year when I quit my day job. So the referral system, it was from a friend, a colleague from the school who is part of this agency. The agency is called A Cognitive Connection. So I reached out to Carol Vaness, who's the owner, and it's like, okay, can I work with you? Can we be partners? Can we do something together? She goes, yeah, I would love to. She looked at my credential, and so she's been giving me referrals, 1 or 2 referrals a month that can help me sustain, and to plus my private clients that help me to make the jump to quit my day job.
Does it ever get emotionally draining for yourself? And what do you do if it does get emotionally draining for yourself?
Yes, it does. Because helping everybody else, at the end of the day, I am drained and I go home. But then before that, so I've learned that I need to, because I was told at home, my husband goes, you're not spending time with your child. You're coming home and you just like block yourself off. It's like, oh, this is the reason why I opened my own business, so I have time for my family. So then before I go home after the last client, I would just sit and have a downtime. And I call it taking notes, finishing my notes, but it's like a brainless activity so that I can recharge myself and go home and actually go and spend time with my kid. And I'm trying to get her, right now, one of my goals is to read her at night, to start that reading again at nighttime. And so since she's so used to not to, it's like like a battle, but I want that connection again.
Is it on now? Okay. So I got to echo what Frank said. You did an amazing job of unpacking your story. And I'm always amazed, like, I come to 1 Million Cups for a long time, and, the presentations that often impact me or just, connect with me the most are ones like yours, where you're sharing your backstory and how you got there. So I love that. And then even answering the questions, you've really made it clear a lot about what you do. So my question to you is, you've made it clear that you've kind of discovered this kind of treasure area of need, and I'm curious whether you will consider, or you might consider right now, kind of readjusting your marketing outreach so that it does speak to that specific need within the medical profession. Because the way that I, before hearing your story, and I look at your marketing piece here, you look like a wellness practice, like a family wellness practice, and I'm familiar with that, with acupuncture and acupressure and all these different things. So I'm expecting that. If I didn't know anything else, if I didn't hear your story right now, I don't think I wouldn't know much about what it seems to be you really have like the most passion about, and like I said, there's a big need there. So I'm just curious if you might think about kind of reorientating how you do present your practice.
always, every day I'm trying to like figure out what to say, what to do. Marketing, I have looked into marketing piece. I just don't have a huge chunk of fund to drop on a marketing plan because I've been shopping for a marketing plan, but they're a little bit too big for my pocket right now. Because like one of them says, oh, I'll give you this piece of paper of what to do for $3,000. I'm like, for $3,000, I can do so much more than a piece of paper. And so it's like I do. It's like right now I'm always, if I need to pivot, I will. I just have to be so secure. So for example, like I won't quit my day job until I know I have a referral system. So for me, I have to have some type of security to say this is gonna work or has a high percentage chance of working. But I do, because like this year, I did not advertise myself as a trauma therapist until this year. And I do want to market that even more, and I joined VetNet because of that. And yes, hi Frank, because I want to get into that market, get to that population that needs trauma therapy. And acupressure therapy will just increase the layer of healing for all vets. And so I am in the search, in shopping, in the research of how to market my business that way.
You know, to your point, though, I think you can market, but if you're not resourced for increased marketing, then you get yourselves in some really deep trouble. And we see that in business all the time. So I think the pace that you're going right now is really good, a good pace so that you're able to resource rightly and be there for the clients that you do have. And that's not my question, but my question is, there's a deeper dive, and I do know you, so in all transparency, we know each other. But there's a deeper dive that I would love for you to share with the audience today that creates the passion in you to deal with emotion. Because isn't there family members that you have that are benefiting from that as well? And could you give a little bit of backstory about your family?
My family. Are we talking my parents? Yes. From Cambodia? So just a little bit of a background. I was on Frank's radio show, and I had the opportunity to be part of his immigrant entrepreneurs group to talk about my family. And yes, I am a refugee from Cambodia. So my mom was a third generation born in Cambodia. And at the time, the Pol Pot regime, they will kill anybody who looks smart, who are restaurant entrepreneurs, who owns a business, who are anything. And so, yes, and I was born in Cambodia. Of course, almost died 3 times in my lifetime, 2 in Cambodia. And so the emotion effect, the things happen of wartime, suppresses the emotion, creates nothing but fear. Because my mom would tell me stories and say that she is on fear mode 24/7, even when she's asleep. Because when she's asleep, she will always have one eye open because she doesn't know if someone's just going to walk by and slice her up and kill her. Because the Pol Pot regime, that's what they do. They feel like killing you, they do. They feel like stealing from you, they do. They don't have any rules or regulations. And so my parents always on fear, so they live in that mode, and then coming to the United States, they're still in that mode, and still it's still a huge fight or flight response in their body 24/7, because every single time something happens, it triggers them. It is a PTSD because it's not just war, because even though they are not like soldiers, so to speak, but it's still PTSD from the things that they experienced back then. And so one of my lifelong goals is to work on my parents. So I'm not just working on their physical ailment, on her back pain, on my parents' edema, on their heart circulation. But one of my goals is to reduce their fight or flight response, to tell them that they are now safe in their own home so that they can have a little bit of peace, a little bit of happiness, and enjoy their life a little bit more. So my parents are my #1 goal. But the business-wise, I do have big dreams about opening an agency someday. And to answer your question, that I do want to expand it and have therapists under me to help and expand trauma therapy, because we all need it. Because starting from my own parents, to me, it can be generational. I want to make sure my daughter does not live in a fight or flight mode 24/7. And I do want to extend that hope that there is a way to knock out the fight or flight system so that they can be in the rest and digest mode to heal their body. Thank you.
So I'm not sure if I'm going to be clear on this, but I was wondering if you have had any clients or have seen people who are really needing the somatic trauma therapy side of it, but not really willing to open up. But then after having acupressure, maybe like releasing certain things in the body where their emotions will start to open up and actually be more
More willing?
more willing to deal with the trauma side of things.
Yes. Actually, when you asked that question, a client came to mind. So I do have a client who came in who has spine. Her spine is nice and tight. Her low back pain was in pain, and she came in for acupressure only. She goes, I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to cry today. I don't want to do anything. I just want you to fix my back, my lower back. It's like, okay, if that's what you want. So I put her on the table. So I'm very good with pelvic rebalancing. And so I go to pelvic points to release the pelvic points, to release the low back pressure, to release the spine so that everything will be good. However, on the second point, so I worked on the first point, went very as textbook, went to the second point. All I did was touch the second point. I was about to ask her what was the pain scale on the second point. I looked at her, and she was quivering, and she was bawling on my table on the second acupressure point. I go, what's going on? If you're willing, I know you came here only for the physical work. Tell me what's going on. And if you're willing, I will dive in with you to take care of this layer right now to see what's going on. It's affecting you, making you cry uncontrollably and not by demand. She goes, I thought I was over this. I didn't think I have to worry about this. But that second point triggered a memory that took her back to her past. And of course, the trauma that happened to her was in the pelvic area, that she was abused. And so she thought she was over it. And I go, okay, I can take you there right now. Whatever layer popped up, if you're willing, let's take care of this right now. So she was. She goes, even though I wasn't, I know my body is telling me that I need to work on this. Her mind refused to work on it. But she said, you know what, I'm going to have to follow the body. So she followed the body. We worked on, I switched mode to trauma therapy. I didn't tell her, because when people hear trauma therapy, they tend to block it. I just switched the mode, switched the modality without telling her, and worked on that layer for her. And at the end, I was planning to switch back to acupressure therapy, but I asked her first, how's your spine? How's your lower back? She goes, there's no pain. So then, all right, then my job is done.
Last question before the super secret question.
Well, thank you. Okay, so I guess the last point sort of answered the question that I wanted to ask, is that obviously as a trauma therapist, you probably do a lot of sit-down therapy, okay? And then so like how is that, how do you determine like how you integrate like then with the physical, like doing the actually like acupressure and acupuncture?
Oh, I have a chair and a table in the room at all times, so they can always switch, and I always ask them, checking them, like, okay, are you prefer to do this sitting up, or do you want to lay down? Because the table's right here, might as well be comfortable. Some people like sitting up, some people like laying down, and if they're sitting up and I need to do acupressure, I go, okay, how about we switch to the table now? It's because I want to check on this point on you. I don't use the word, I'm going to do acupressure now. It's like, let me check on that body. Because if they're sitting up and they're saying they're in pain, or all of a sudden I have a headache, or all of a sudden I'm feeling this in my chest, it's like, you know what? Let's move to the table. Let's see what's going on. And so, and if they're already on the table, I'll be asking if it's okay if I check on that pain area with you. And I can touch it, and then I can check on the points without telling them verbally I'm switching modality.
And who has the super secret question? Anybody get a paddle? All right. Well, what as we, as a Colorado Springs business community, do to help you?
Yes, that goes back to the previous question of marketing. I'm always shifting. I'm always willing to shift to see where it's best for my business and best for the client and for the population that I want to help. So marketing is one of my not so strong point right now, because I'm always looking for ways to market myself. For example, in the beginning, I had a one-on-one with a chiropractor. I was telling him all what I was doing, and then at the end, he goes, "So, what do you do again?" So I'm like, okay, what just went wrong? So I'm always my ears are always open. I'm always in the direction to say, okay, if you talked about yourself this way, then people will understand you. If you talk about this way, people will understand you. And of course, I have not jumped into a big marketing plan to tell the whole entire world that I exist. And so right now it's just word of mouth marketing is the best one that I know of for now. So how the community can help me, and if you guys know of ways that I can market myself without going bankrupt, that would be great.
All right, and give it up again.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, thank you for presenting for 1 Million Cups. Here's your official presenter mug.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, and now we're going to start our community announcements. Just a quick reminder, community announcements are 20 to 30 seconds long, focusing on where, when, and the purpose. Not so much of who you are, but where and when. So come on, line up, and we'll get through them. Frank's going to have 5 minutes.
Next Tuesday night, Power Connectors is back. Our last one for 2022 is really being re-energized down at Public House at Alexander at 5:30 next Tuesday night. Come on out and do some networking at Power Connectors.
Hey everybody who hasn't finished their holiday shopping. This Saturday from 1 to 4 next door in the venue, we're going to have local makers with all of their goods and offerings, even practitioners who are offering specials on treatments and things like that. So really valuable, great local gift options for the last minute shoppers. This Saturday 1 to 4 right next door.
Hey, I have a couple things and an ask. The first one is we are holding a pitch night at Exponential Impact tomorrow from 5:30 to 7:30. The pitches are from 6 to 7. There is food. And I have cards now, so if you just scan the QR code, you can get on Access COS, take a few minutes and get in our directory. And then my final ask would be I'm looking for some mentors to help the new businesses who are coming through on this grant program. So if you're interested in being a mentor, just come see me and talk to me after, okay?
All right, I think that's all the community announcements. Next up, we would like to thank our media sponsor, Kevin Fedde with Fedde Studios.
Make sure all of my stuff's good because I can't change anything while I'm over here. But hey everyone, my name is Kevin. As you said, my business is Fedde Studios. I do live event production. I do video production. So short promo videos or social media content or YouTube stuff or anything there. I also do photography. So headshots, real estate, family photos, wedding stuff, etc., etc. And then I also do drone photo and video. So I got the whole multi-talented thing going on, so if you need help with any of that, definitely let me know.
All right, and then right now we'd like to recognize our first-timers. Is anybody's first time showing up this morning? Anybody? Oh, we got wow, look at that, 5 of them. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I hope you return as well, too, see more presenters. Next up, let's see. Oh, alumni organizers. Let's go ahead and we'll acknowledge the alumni first. And now if you are currently an organizer, go ahead and raise your hand. So if you're interested in speaking, go ahead and grab one of us and we'll help you get up here. That being said, I think next up we have our next guest speaker. I'm really excited about this person. He's the owner of Dice Guys, as well as a speakeasy called 59er. He's a friend of mine as well, too. Adam Stepan. So yeah, come on up.
So let me see if I can do some technology real quick. I was gonna see, he had mentioned that maybe we could connect via AirPlay, because I don't have an converter. This is a different kind. Yeah, it needs a conversion.
So I have
Is there not a?
now what's connected is the Google Chromecast. So I'm not sure if yours will detect it, but if you give me 2 seconds, I can run and grab the Apple TV.
Okay. So I'll start talking while those 2 seconds happen. Because the first slide is just a glorified business card. Let me get my timer on. So I like to see where I'm at. So as you said, I'm Adam Stepan. I own a company called Dice Guys Game Store. In the back of Dice Guys Game Store is a hidden bar. So I branded as the first and only that I know of, as soon as someone tells me otherwise, game store speakeasy in, board game speakeasy in the state of Colorado. It's a little something that exists in other places, namely like parts of Europe. They feel a little less like a bar vibe and more like a coffee shop vibe. Lighting is really stark and family-friendly kind of place. And not that we don't allow families in our place. It's not a place for young children. Sunday is kind of our exception, but in general, we are the largest retail game store in the state of Colorado. So we sell over $1 million worth of board games, card games, every year in store, online. Largely when I talk to the team about what do you think we are we a retail operation or are we a restaurant bar? And now they've all got it right. At first there was mixed responses, but we are definitely a retail operation. The restaurant bar component is nice to have. It helps build the community. But how did I get here is the bigger question. I started my first business when I was 8 years old, selling sports collectibles. Before the days of the internet, to date myself a little bit, people would rent a space in a ballroom in a hotel. Show promoter would promote it, kind of like Comic-Con, if anybody knows what that is. $2, $3 a head. He would market the show, use that money to do some door prizes, and then we would set up a table and sell whatever it was that we were selling. So it was almost like a very niche flea market. So that's how I got started in the business world when I was 8. And then by the time I was 12, I was launching and promoting my own collectible shows. And then when I was 13, a game called Magic the Gathering was invented. That looks like something I could do. Let's see what happens.
It should give you an option to screen share or mirror share from there, and as soon as you open that, you can choose Apple TV and it'll give you a code.
There we go.
9530.
The technology is about to work. I feel it. Oh, where'd you go? So there's me. There's my 2 brands. So one of the games that we sell a lot of is Magic the Gathering. And yeah, it's a big piece of our pie. So how did I come up with this idea, though? The best ideas come from seeing a need. So I told my staff, I was like, imagine a game store where you would take a first date. This is your average game store. Anybody had a first date in a place like that? No. So, I'm telling them this in the middle of a construction site. I made it so different that there was no competition, right? Every game store looks like the previous slide. This is what it looks like at my place. We've had first dates, we've had anniversaries, we've had bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, multi-generational tables for Mother's Day, those sort of things. Even though there isn't any direct competition, I've really made it a point to be the best in class of whatever sort of industry vertical we're in. So we've won several Indie Awards, Best New Bar, the year we were new, Best Overall Bar. I've won Best Mixologist, Best Bartender in the Gazette. The Game Store has won Best Eclectic Store. To kind of close this out, so this is a representation of my midlife crisis. So I got into construction. I started a solar company when Obama was elected. I grew it as fast as I could to tens of millions of dollars, burnt myself out, stressed myself out, did not take care of my health. But everything as far as my business life was amazing, right? But my body wasn't. So one year I was at Disney World with my kids, and I started having this intense pain in my knees. And I was like, I've got to go. And I asked my oldest daughter, can you get people back to where they need to be? The next morning I woke up and I couldn't walk. And it turned out I had rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune condition that attacks your joints for no good reason. And so from that moment on, I was pre-med, so my whole agenda was, how can I fix myself? I'll move to Colorado and start a game store.
Thank you for sharing, Adam. Now we got 20 minutes of Q&A. Real quick, I got the first question. Tell us more about the Speakeasy and what are the hours of operation and what's the kind of vibe there that you have?
So it's mostly evenings. Like I said, with the exception of the weekend, we open up about 2 o'clock on Saturday, about 1 o'clock on Sunday, and on Friday and Saturday nights, we stay open till 11 p.m. My goal is for people to have a good time, drink alcohol responsibly, and then go off to Mother Muffs and do whatever irresponsible tasks they want to do there and become someone else's problem. We close at 8 o'clock on Sundays, and then Wednesday, Thursday, we kind of have a short day, like 3 to 9, 4 to 9. No Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday, we are open, I staff, but we mostly work on online order fulfillment and stuff like that, but closed to the general public.
Okay, so I like your backstory as well, and I like the fact that it kind of leaves you wanting to know more. But I'm going to leave that there. The thing that where my mind goes with your what it is that you're creating here, I really get the piece about like, ooh, it's hard to to decide what is it, what actually is it, and especially when the thing is an experience. And so where my mind went to, I travel a fair amount in in other places, like you said, these things are more more developed, maybe here than in Colorado Springs. And in the Phoenix area, there's a, I would call it a similar business, and I think it's called like the Rage Store or the Rage Cafe, something like that. And its whole purpose is to get a group of people together and smash things. So you can smash plates, you can smash TVs, you get sledgehammers, and that's what the experience is, and you pay a fair amount for it, and I think it's like per person. I think it might be like $20 a person, and I think you pay a little bit depending on what you're smashing. But in that context, I am a little curious to hear more about what it is that you're really selling, and what you charge for it too, because like I said, I mean, who would have thought somebody would pay, $80 for a group of people to smash plates? Right. But they do.
Yep. That's a good question. So there's two sides, right? The one side is just the straight retail side where we're selling board games, card games, and your retail packaging. Maybe what Target or Barnes & Nobles may be selling, but we kind of focus on the long tail. So maybe you can get 2 versions of Catan at Barnes & Nobles. You can get 16 versions of Catan or expansions at my store. So we really focus on that, like, ooh, ah, when people come in and they look in the retail and they're like, I didn't even know this many versions existed. And they don't have to go online, and they don't have to try to hunt down things. They can kind of come in, touch it, feel it, read it, ask for advice. So that's one piece of the revenue pie, a very large part of it. The back, so there's 200 board games to play, and they're open play. You don't have to pay. There's lots of business models that are kind of like, well, you have to pay $5 a person, but we'll credit it towards a retail game. I've largely wanted to avoid this nickel and diming feel. I wanted people to just come in, sit down, do whatever they wanted to do. If they want to watch live music on Friday night, they can come in and watch live music without a cover. If they want to play a game, they can play a game without a cover. I didn't want people to feel like they had to reduce their experience because of some money, right? So the tricky thing has been with pricing the back is that there is a much lower turnover ratio on where you're going with your tables turning over. So Chili's Bar and Grill turns over a table every 43 minutes on average. We turn over a table every 1 hour and 48 minutes. So it's a much slower turnover rate, and people are not necessarily just eating and drinking that entire 2 hours, right? So our tickets kind of needed to be higher somehow. Our margins needed to be higher because we weren't going to sell as many charcuterie boards as someone else would that's just like not giving them anything else to do. When you're there and all you've got is your charcuterie to eat, you get it done. And then you go to the theater or you go wherever you're going to go next. Our experience is an experience, and so people stay longer. So at first, I priced drinks pretty high. And everybody loved everything about our place except for the price. And not everybody, right? Some people traveling, they're like $15 for a top shelf drink, great. Other people, you know, anytime we got a trash review, it was only about price. There was nothing about service. There was nothing about the quality of food or the quality of drinks. And we're also coupling with, I've been to a lot of places. People, well, this will probably resonate with a lot of people, but you go to Six Flags or you go to some amusement thing and the food is crap. And it's insanely expensive. And so I did not want it to feel like captive audience. We've lured you in here with the ambiance and the experience, and now we're going to serve you garbage, and we're going to overprice it. So I've placed a great emphasis on the quality of the ingredients, which all costs money, right? So our margin is lower because of that. So it's been a lot of juggling and trying to get the right price point, but that's where we're at. We make money off of food and drink back there, and the experience we don't charge for.
Hi, right here. I had a few questions. Is it because people are sitting there, you know, for so long, if they're playing a game, is it hard to get a table? Like, you know, is it a wait typically on most nights? Also, I just love the idea. Super cool concept because I love playing board games. But
Me too.
What's your second question would be, what's your favorite board game, and do you have Dominion?
Okay, I'll start with the easy one. We do have Dominion. I have, I think, 8 or 9 versions. Oh man, my favorite board game is really a loaded question, and it kind of depends on who I'm playing with and what I'm in the mood for. My favorite genre of board games to play with my children are co-op games, where we're working together as a team, and we all win or we all lose. And I don't have to do this feel bad thing of like, because I don't let kids win games. If it's a competitive game, I don't sugarcoat it. I give you something to aspire to. So I really like co-op games for that purpose. I like Splendor. That's probably my favorite board game to just like, you came over to my house and I'm gonna lure you in to board games. It's so easy to learn, and it's one of those things where you can start playing it for the first time, and at the end of that first play, you're like, oh, that was kind of fun. And it's really hard for complex strategy games for that to be said, right? People play a complex strategy game, they're like, okay, next time I'll try to figure out what the hell I'm doing. What was the first question? I started on the easy stuff. Yes, long wait. So on the website, we say reservation required to sort of mitigate that issue of people showing up and not getting a table. People, because of Yelp and all these other things, they still come in. We still get walk-ins all the time. Friday, Saturday nights are the hardest nights to sort of walk in at peak hour at like 7 p.m. and be guaranteed a table. Because we're still very new, Wednesday, Thursdays, still pretty easy. Thursday is hit or miss, kind of. We've had to turn people away. So it's probably like Wednesday and Sunday are the guaranteed days currently that you can just walk in and get a table. But you can. But ultimately, we've tried to regulate it by just having a really useful app online that people can just book a table and see what availability is. Thanks.
So I like your idea. It's totally amazing, and I did not know it was here. But my question is, do you have a sober option? And if not, have you thought about maybe having a menu that has a sober option for people who don't want to drink?
Of course. So, ironically, maybe, I don't drink. I mean, I have like 1 or 2 drinks an entire month. So yes, there is, for every main call-out drink on my menu, there is an exact zero proof, as we call it, option for that. So some of our, I say that the drink menu, people come in, they do have beer, they do have wine, but it's really a craft cocktail lounge. So our drinks are, somewhat simple, but also complex at the same time. And so I've made a great effort to try to replicate whatever complex drink we're making in a non-alcoholic version, as well as we can just sort of make whatever, right? We have every spirit that's non-alcoholic, rum, whiskey, tequila, and then some like more obscure things that sort of create that flavor that you want, from like a liqueur, like a spicy flavor, or like a citrus flavor. So yes, we do.
Can I congratulate you for being here, first of all?
Thanks.
Man, it's very obvious that you have very good business sense and that you're a great addition to our community. So with that said, how long have you been here, first of all? Secondly, as you continue to grow your business, I'm looking at you, there's probably other things in the back of your mind that you're thinking of as well. How did you get from tens of millions of dollars in a business? I know the health thing was part of it, but it seems like a kind of odd transition to what you're doing now, right? So
yeah.
How did that happen?
The health thing was all of it. The health thing was all of it, yeah. I think that when you can't walk, and this can be applied to a lot of different things when you lose your faculties and you lose control over your body. My sister's been legally blind her entire life. She doesn't know any different, but she still has an appreciation for all the things that she has, a greater sense, I feel. And when I woke up that morning and I had to like crawl to the toilet, crawl to the bathroom, I wouldn't call it humiliating, but it was the most vulnerable that I've ever felt in my life. And it made me appreciate just the fundamental things that I was given. Like just that gift of like being able to get up and walk out of the bed without pain. I had taken it for granted, right? Just as much as somebody living beachfront in Hawaii would take the ocean for granted eventually. Someone who lives in Colorado Springs might perhaps take advantage of and forget that the mountains are right there. So what happened was, being pre-med, I started researching and reading, and I must have had 3 or 4 months before I even got to talk to a rheumatologist. So I had, exhausted my GP. He was probably pretty tired of my crap. But I just kept scheduling this idea and this test and this thing, and I just kept ruling out every single thing that I could find that perhaps was not RA. And one thing that I read was this book by this MD in the UK back in the 80s. He was doing some research on a correlation between environmental allergens and not RA specifically, but any autoimmune condition. So I found basically that I was really allergic to mold. And so his theory is if you're in an environment where you're having an allergic response to an environmental allergen, that's an immune system response. Your body's going, oh, I don't like this. Inflammation starts, reaction begins. He's saying that your immune system is always in this heightened state, and it's more likely, in my case, to malfunction. So immediately I went to this chart and started looking at all these allergy counts of mold and where the lowest counts were. And so it was like several places in Colorado, Utah. I looked at Salt Lake City, but that was like the whole bowl thing. I was like, well, I'll trade RA for cancer. And I'm gonna keep looking. So that's how I ended up here. Was literally an allergen chart and where can I find low mold. I was born in Austin, spent 17 years, my last stint in Texas. And this city sort of reminds me of Austin in the 80s. Similar population size. It's a pretty ideal population where you have enough resources and enough things to balance out taxation and everything, but it's not so crazy that, it takes you 2 hours to get anywhere. The other question, yeah, I mean, I think that kind of answered your, where I was in my previous business life. I moved here in 2019, right before the pandemic, bought the building that my business is in right across from Bancroft Park, kind of next to Thunder and Buttons and A-Link Insurance and that sort of stuff. And then rented it back to the owner in December 2019. She vacated the premises in January 2020. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, wow. And so I had very grand plans of like 3-story bar, 1-story rooftop deck with looking at Pikes Peak and a proper like basement underground speakeasy. I was like, we're gonna dial this all back and just finish out this one existing space. And that's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna start a game store in the meantime. And I didn't actually open the bar until the following year because I was, no way to know whether you could have 0 people in there or 8 people in there. And I couldn't run a business that way. So I had enough experience with gaming and online e-commerce that I just started the game store in September 20.
Awesome. And we are a little short on time, so we're going to skip to our super secret special question.
One question before that, just personally. Do you have a Star Wars Legion tournament?
We don't. No,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'll come anyways.
Okay, thank you.
And the super secret question is, what can we as a Colorado Springs business community do to help you?
I think right now my biggest ask and thing that I'm seeking is I want to promote the space as more for private events. We've done a lot of like rehearsal dinners and wedding parties, and like I said, we've done live music, we've done holiday parties, we have some different cultural events happening next year. So really trying to, cater to specialized event stuff, especially during the week, during the day, doing more corporate lunch and learn kind of stuff. We have full PA system, projectors, full live music setup, all that good stuff. That's my big ask.
Awesome.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you for presenting today. And of course, here's your most coveted 1 million cups. And real quick, let's get Judy up here for her final closing words, and we'll go about our Wednesday.
All right, this is our last 1 million cups of the year, right? Okay. All right, so we'll just do this one here as a tribute to all of you guys, and I wish you all happy holidays and happy new year. Live in the moment, feel it, and take it with you. Try to give every instant the weight that it is due. Bear that heavy with strength and keep reaching. Experience your life, and in each unique, find value. pursue all you must, and whenever you can, follow through. Learn from the depths and stretch out new. Revel in the darkness. And when the light hits, even for a split, open up, bloom. There is a delicate power in vulnerability. Even if in your weakest, they take advantage of you, our skill is in the will to continue to build. Thanks, guys.
All right, and that ends 1 Million Cups today. Thank you all for coming. Please take care of the space and clean up after yourself. Thank you.